Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you today. This is Monday. We're going to be talking a little bit about Kurt Angle and TNA and his ongoing contract negotiations. Basically, the story's been out there for years that basically Kurt Angle has been trying to get out of TNA, get back to the mainstream of WWE, and sort of retire the right way. He said that, basically he wants to have his last match in a WWE ring. He wants Jim Ross to call his last match. And as long as he's tied up in TNA, that's not going to be able to happen. I've taken a lot of shots at Kurt Angle because basically he's gotten on his Twitter. And if you remember back to like WrestleMania 27, he took shots at Jack Swagger. He took shots at Randy Orton. He took shots at the whole company. And basically, my thoughts was that Kurt Angle was just big time jealous that basically he was wrestling in TNA where, their biggest show that they were able to draw was in the tens of thousands, and here, WrestleMania was selling out the Georgia Dome with 68,000 fans, in there, and basically with, Atlanta being one of the homes of Kurt Angle that I always think of. Of course, there's Pittsburgh, there's always Atlanta as well, where he competed in the 1996 Olympic Games, winning Olympic gold, like Jimmy Crack Corn, and I think that in my heart, I do really want to see Kurt Angle go there. I think if you look at paper, you can see that Kurt Angle's TNA career is longer than his WWE. But it's just, to me, Kurt Angle is WWE, and he always has and he always will be. I think that the story that's out there right now with basically, Kurt Angle going public saying that he wants to be back in WWE, as well as calling Triple H, trying to see, what is going to be there for him at the end of his TNA contract, and then Triple H basically saying publicly that he's turning Kurt Angle down and is not going to be there. This is just one of those stories that makes the sheets, that basically it just seems like sometimes people write things in order to, for people to read the story, to go to the website, to draw some traffic to them. I've gone completely, in a full circle on the Daniel Bryan video that I made the other day. Just, basically, from reading the sheets, it's almost like, it seems like Daniel Bryan is getting a new surgery every week, and he's getting cut on 1,000 times. And basically, I was just at the point of, like, when's enough? I think that Daniel Bryan's just going to, walk away and just do whatever from here on out. But then, from actually hearing Daniel Bryan's voice in an interview with Dave Meltzer during SummerSlam weekend, they talked about the G1, and they talked about, how, he's doing, and basically Bryan says he's just going to physical therapy every day. He's trying to work out as much as he can to stay in shape, and he's trying to listen to his doctors. One day he'll go to the doctor, and they say, we need to have surgery, and he books the surgery, and then he goes in to have the surgery, and they say, we need to do more tests. And they want to make sure they're doing whatever they have to do to make sure he's all right. And it's, from reading different websites and things like that, and reading stories on Twitter, it seemed like this guy was just laying down on surgery tables and getting cut up every week in order to see what they can do to make him better. I think that, Daniel Bryan will have a day when he gets this prognosis about what they really need to do to get him fixed and get him back into the ring. I think that's going to happen. With Kurt Angle, this is just one of those stories where I think people are just writing things to write things. Basically, if you go back to, I think that 2 years ago, WWE was sued by TNA over them having contract negotiations with Ric Flair. I think at the end of the day, I think that the suit was just sort of dropped and nothing really came of it, but it made it where WWE wasn't signing TNA guys because they were scared about more legal action they would be tied up in. It's almost to the point that that's why Matt Morgan isn't with them. Matt Morgan became a free agent at one point, was very vocal about wanting to get into WWE. It seemed like WWE wanted to get Matt Morgan, but they didn't want to sort of ruffle any feathers at TNA. So Matt Morgan went back. That deal ended, and then here he is, and he's still not signed. A contracted wrestler with a company is not able to talk to the other company until the deal is done. Kurt Angle is still under his deal. He's not going to be able to get out of that deal for a good while. So we have to count down the days. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. When it comes down to it, TNA doesn't have a lot of money, but when it comes down to name value, there's Kurt Angle, there's Jeff Hardy, there's Bobby Roode, and James Storm. Those are the four names of TNA wrestling Kurt Angle easily is the biggest star they have, easily the biggest name with the biggest reputation as a legend in the business. They're going to do everything they can do to make sure he doesn't walk away. Kurt Angle's going to do whatever he has to do to make sure he doesn't piss that company off. Because even if he is the biggest name they have, if he's very vocal to the point that he doesn't want to be there, they're not going to sign him, and they'll spend that money somewhere else. So I don't think Angle's making noise. I definitely don't think that Triple H is making noise, that somebody's calling him trying to get a job while they're still under a contract to another company. It just doesn't make sense. So basically, I don't really see anything in the Kurt Angle storyline of this whole deal. At the end of the day, I can see him taking him back. I don't think Triple H hates Kurt Angle as much as a lot of people think he does. I think that he would be a good trainer down there at the Performance Center. That's a good hand inside the company. There's a spot for a guy like Kurt Angle in WWE. Will he ever have a match in WWE? He'll have to pass the impact test. That's something that, Hulk Hogan's trying to deal with. Mick Foley had to get over with. Edge wasn't able to pass it because of his neck. So we'll have to see where that ranks up. I don't think he will, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't love to see a Kurt Angle match if there was the right match on the table for him.